Hello guys, Omni here. It's finally time to cover our first Supergirl episode back post-crisis. So, just coming off of Batwoman, that was the first one I watched. I'm not sure, I can't remember the order of them because I always have to watch them the day after once they're on the website. But I really liked the Batwoman. I really liked how that kind of played into it, how the Paragons, how the changes to the Earth are kind of incorporating and seeding their way into the universe, the show itself. And I think that ending... I think Supergirl answers some of my questions as far as the ending of Batwoman. If you haven't seen that, there might be some spoilers for that here. I won't go to the details, but I think one of my theories might be actually correct at this point. So we'll see going from here. So if you haven't seen last night's episode of Supergirl, tune out. We're going to go into spoilers here today. So we have confirmation Lex still has his memories, and he made a deal with the Monitor to spare Lena from the events of that if they were to succeed. So Lena also has all of her memories. Thank God, because we need that storyline to keep on going with her and Kara, because that is like the last thing I need to be hearing about at all in this is just her whining about Kara. But they're not the main crux of this episode. We get a lot of little teases throughout this. We're refocusing back on Leviathan being the primary threat on Supergirl going forward. And this is really starting to play out really interesting. And along with them trying to look into Leviathan, what they're doing now, if they're still doing anything crazy, on top of trying to reevaluate what to do with Lex now that he is their boss in charge of the D.E.O. and such of this favorable position. It turns out that the main goal, even for Lex himself, is to take down Leviathan. So it really seems like everybody's working towards the same goal. But the main standout thing in this episode, especially more so than with Batwoman, we definitely see the effects of Crisis even more in this episode. We got 5-6 different Brainies who are refugees from their other Earths. The explanation is some survivors came through some wormholes or some temporal events that managed to actually sling them onto Earth Prime, saving them from the Earth's collapse. So we have various different Brainies running around iterating. This is putting Jesse Rath on full blast this episode, and he's doing so many different iterations of the characters, so many different outfits, dialects, personalities, and he's just killing it. He is amazing because he's already my favorite character in Supergirl. Easy. And just that he shines so much in this episode. Throughout, some of them start to fade away and delete out and disappear. And they mention that it's a virus, and they call it the anti-life equation. So I don't know, that are we going to be leaning into Darkseid? If we do, I really hope that comes up more in Superman and Lois, since that show got greenlit, because Darkseid is such a Superman villain. I would love to see him square off against that or tackle that threat on his own, now that Lex is a primary character over at the Supergirl universe. So I'd really like to see that all spread out. And I'm also really curious because Lena is very prevalent in this episode, and in Batwoman, the little article at the headline at the end of the episode says that she was recently spotted in Gotham. So I'm really curious if they're going to expand on that at all. With that being said, aside with the Brainies deleting, they're still trying to figure out what to do. One of them, before they fades out from existence, mentions don't open the bottle. And you wonder, what does that mean? Don't open jar, don't open the bottle. What does this mean? So as they're coming around, they're investigating a couple things. There's a signal coming about. They trace it to a bar where there's a bunch of refugees from other Earths. We got the same bartender twice. We got some alternate Earth version of the witches that help summon rain back. So there's a lot of things. So this leaves a lot of room open for Earth 2. Laurel maybe to still be alive. Maybe Jesse Quick, Harry, some of the people who were lost to the other Earths primarily could hopefully find them intact later down the road, and I really hope that's the case. The main focus here really though is Brainy and the multiple Brainies trying to figure out what to do. They're dealing with this survivor's guilt that some of them have in particular, and one of the Brainies, as we find out later in the episode, the bottle that they are being warned not to open, one of the Brainies bottled their Earth. before the antimatter wave came, they bottled the Earth, which is something Brainiac would do to add worlds to his collections. I mean, that's the Kryptonian city of Kandor is one of the best examples of that. And he's trying to figure out how to open it and free his Earth. So doing so would destroy both of them, because it would just release the planet into the same spot that this current Earth Prime is, and it would destroy everything. So they're really trying to work together to try to figure this all out and stop that from happening. And to do that, our Brainy Prime is just slugging behind compared to the other ones. And the whole focus is really about him learning to trust himself, because he's still wearing his inhibitors, his personality inhibitors. So the whole thing builds up to him eventually taking them off, and his skin turns green when he finally does, finally getting that authentic look to him. Before it all comes to a close and all that stuff, after they stop and talk down the other Brainy from releasing his Earth, and everything starts to settle down, the D.E.O, Supergirl, and all of them return and leave, and the Brainies kind of have a little moment to themselves, where they talk about they weren't actually even there. They were lost to their worlds, but the only reason they were there were through projections, because all of these Brainiac units are tied to this hive mind, the big brain, where their consciousness lives, and that transcends the multiverse, because they're just essentially data. It's essentially a giant cloud storage, and it doesn't completely make sense, but I'll buy it. So their consciousness is stored there, and their experiences are stored there, and it was the inhibitors that was keeping Brainy from accessing that and really kind of restricting his potential. So one of them is been investigating Lex, because Leviathan is still the major threat. Even on that, there was a female Brainy, and even on her Earth, they were the primary threat, and they failed. They failed to stop Leviathan, and it led to more destruction, because she uses her collective consciousness when they're kind of giving their little projections onto Brainy, giving him the little glowy dots all over his chest as he would have. She gives him her knowledge from the other Earth with the other timeline, because apparently on hers, everything had played up the closest to this Earth's timeline that they've seen. So a lot of the decisions that are being made, she's made the wrong ones that led to the failures. And she said, the only way that you're going to be able to stop Leviathan and stop all this destruction is going to be working with Lex Luthor, because we didn't. We worked against Lex Luthor and against Leviathan, and we lost. So you're going to have to do this. And in order to do that, your friends are they're never going to trust Lex. So you have to do the right thing. Otherwise, everybody's going to die, and you're going to have to let them go, let it go, let Nia go, let any of these attachments go until the mission is done, until Leviathan is defeated. And he's going to have to work with Lex. And then we get this teaser at the end of the episode where he has a secret meeting with Lex, where he talks to them. He's like, listen, we have to stop Leviathan. And in order to do that, we're going to have to work together. And my friends, I know they're not going to do that, and they can't know we're in on this, but we got to stop them. And they mentioned that now on this new Earth Prime, no information exists about Leviathan yet. And then he reveals this picture of somebody who might be a refugee from the wormhole as well, from the future. And we see Wen, who had taken Brainy's place in the future when he came and left the Legion of Superheroes. So Wen's back. Is it the same Wen? I don't know. We'll find out. But they need this knowledge of the future, whether or not Brainiac wants to give it to him, because he easily could. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to play off. But I like that this whole thing expanded greatly. The effects of the multiverse, even more so. So we're going to get multiple versions of different characters, potentially living on the same Earths. We might see different characters, kind of like what we might have seen, if you haven't seen it, on Batwoman. There's something that happens that's pretty crazy, and it raises a lot of questions that I feel like maybe this answers. It could also just be a scapegoat. It could just be a whole other kind of situation, but we'd have to see how this all plays out. So Crisis has hugely affected these shows, and I am more than excited than I have been to check out each of them, to see what all the distinct changes have been. I mean, I'm current on all of the shows so far, and it's like you can see all these little minute minor changes throughout, but there's some pretty big game changers in here. Lex being a recurring character now permanently, it seems like, in this show, having a much bigger part. Just status quo for Brainy completely being shifted. A lot of the things are being moved around directly from all these chained events from Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm going to be breaking today's down for each episode going forward. Just kind of giving my thoughts, quick thoughts on each episode as they come out, as we watch them. Most of these will probably be the day after the episode airs, so kind of keep it out for that. If you guys are fans of these shows, if you love these shows, if you're just love DC in general and like to see how this all pans out, stick around, like, comment, subscribe. I want to know your thoughts. Please share your thoughts down in the comments below. We'll carry on that conversation after the video, guys. And thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back here with more of that tomorrow with Black Lightning and see how Crisis has shifted that show, because that's the newest one in the bunch out of all of these. So I'm really looking forward to see if things have been changed over there. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.